Okay, if the perimeter of a rectangle is 26 and the area is 42, then what are the dimensions of the rectangle? Okay, so we're talking about a rectangle. Oops. There we go, we got a rectangle. And rectangle has a width, length. So the area of a rectangle is length times width. The perimeter of a rectangle is 2 lengths plus 2 width. So those are the two formulas you're going to need to be aware of. Let me make sure those make sense. Why is the area length times width? Well, think about if you have a, let me just come on down here and show it. What if I had a little one like this? There we go. I just made a little rectangle. Okay. And how many squares are inside of it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. How many squares tall is it? 4, right? 4 squares tall. How many wide is it? 3 wide, isn't it? This is a 4 by 3 rectangle, right? It's 1, 2, 3, 4 tall, and it's 1, 2, 3 wide. So what is the total area inside that rectangle? Area, notice, is 4 times 3, which is 12. It's one side times the other, and it's accurate, right? There's 12 squares inside of there. That's right. Now, on the other hand, so that's why the area formula is just length times width. It's just one side. It's length times width. One side times the other, right? This is length. This is width. Okay, now what's the perimeter? What if we wanted to go around the outside? Perimeter means all the way around the outside of the object, right? So start anywhere you want. Start here. And let's just walk around the outside. 1, 2, 3, 4, like we're a spider walking around the outside. It's 4. And 1, 2, 3, plus 3. Plus 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus 4. Plus 1, 2, 3. Plus 3. Do you see how it's 2 4s and 2 3s? Right? It's 2 times 4 plus 2 times 3, whatever that comes out to be. You can just add 14, I think. Right? So it's 2 lengths and 2 widths, isn't it? Right? Because you have the length twice and the width twice to go all the way around the outside of a perimeter of a rectangle. That's why the perimeter formula, you see, is 2 lengths plus 2 widths. I just wanted to give you a real life feel for where those formulas come from. They're right and true, aren't they? Area, space in the middle, all the space in the middle is just one side times the other, multiplied. Perimeter, how far around the outer edge, is 2 lengths and 2 widths added. These are added. The area, length, width are multiplied. See that difference? Okay. Anyway, that was all. You don't really need to know. That's all just, I want to give you the reason why. Let's go over here now and go area equals length times width. And what is the area? It says the area is 42. Okay. And then perimeter, which is 2 length plus 2 width. It tells me perimeter is 26. Okay. So there we go. We got our 2 equations with 2 letters. Now, how do you solve 2 equations with 2 letters? Well, you're going to need to plug one of them into the other. What I would suggest, the perimeter equation is actually the, I'm going to start with him. He's actually the easier equation. You might look at the area one and think that looks simpler, but really it's easier to add things. So I'm gonna take this perimeter one. So step 1, solve for one letter in perimeter, and then plug into the area formula. So I'm going to take this perimeter, 2L plus 2W is 26. Take this guy, bring it down here. Solve for one of the letters. It really doesn't matter which one. Why just say solve for one letter? So like, I'm just going to get the L alone, I guess. Subtract 2W from both sides. Like that. We basically have to plug one equation into the other, right? That's how we solve. Remember that from earlier days when we solved with two equations? So we get minus 2w plus 20. If you wanted to write that as, if you're thinking, well, Mr. can't we write that as 26 minus 2w totally? If you prefer that, feel free to do so. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you put the minus 2w in the front or the back. It matters not. All right, keep going. Divide by 2. Like that. Boom. L equals minus w plus 13. So I got L alone. I solved for one letter in the perimeter equation. Now plug that into the area equation. So let me grab the area equation. So here's the area. Length times width is 42. Bring that down. Step 2, area equals length times width equals 42. Right? Yeah. And then grab that. Okay. Plug that in for L. And what do we get? Negative w plus 13 times w, right? This is this equals 42. Just making sense. So I took the perimeter equation, solve for one letter, got one letter alone, got the L alone in the perimeter equation, and now plug that into the area equation. And that way we get down to just one letter. You know what to do now. Got parentheses, so I'm going to distribute. Right? W times negative w is negative w squared plus 13w is 42. All right. Here we are to this point. So I just took that w and I just distributed through, I just multiplied times both these. I got minus w squared plus 13w. Okay. Now, now we have a w squared. So what do we do at this point? A lot of steps here. Okay, so now we're kind of switching gears into, I guess it's step 3 at this point. Step 3. Get w squared. Yeah, we need to get w squared to be positive. Well, here, we need to get a 0. We need to get a 0 on one side, right? That's what we always do, is need to get a 0 on one side, but move everything to the side where w squared is positive. So I need to move everything to the side where w squared is positive, just because you don't want the front term being negative. That's just difficult to deal with. So let me just move this off to the right and we'll do that. So over here to the right, so minus w squared plus 13w equals 42. Wasn't very good. Let me, just can't make up my mind. So here, let me put it right here. Minus w squared plus 13w equals 42. So here's the wall separation. And so what I'm going to do then, is I'm not going to go minus 42 on both sides. Like, that's kind of like what I normally do. Why not? What would be the problem? Let me show you what the problem is. Then I'd have minus w squared plus 13w minus 42 equals 0. What's the problem? W squared is negative. I don't want that. I want where w squared is positive. So that's not the plan. what is the plan? Move it to the other side. Or, you know, well, how about this? Get 0 on one side. Sorry, I just keep changing I don't know what the easiest way to show you guys. Let's just do that first off, and then I'll handle it a different way. All right, we do that. Boom, boom. This is 0. And this is minus w squared plus 13w minus 42. Here we go. Now, if the front is negative, multiply both sides by -1. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go -1, -1, -1, -1. Now, can you do that? Is that allowed to be done? Yeah, remember we have an equal sign. So with an equal sign, we can do anything we want as long as we do it with balance, do it to both sides, right? If this left side equals this right side, if they're equal and you treat them the same, you multiply them all by -1, left side and right side, all the terms, then they got to be equal afterwards, right? Two things are equal and you treat them the same, they got to be equal afterwards. That's why it's okay to do that. It's only okay because we have an equal sign. If we didn't have an equal sign, you can't be just multiplying by -1 when you feel like it. That would be illegal procedure. But with an equal sign, you can do anything you want as long as you do it to both sides. If they were equal before and you treat them the same, they got to be equal afterwards, right? That's only reasonable. So what do you get then? You get plus w squared minus 13w plus 42 equals, and what's -1 times 0? What's anything times 0? Still 0. Looks like nothing happened over there. All right, now so it's been a big pain. So we had to multiply through to make the front, because the front was negative. We can't have the front negative. That's just a pain. All right, step number 4, factor with the 2 parentheses. Let's do it. So we're going to factor with the 2 parentheses, and we're going to say, okay, what multiplies adds multiplies. Well, this is going to be w times w to make w squared in the front. What multiplies to be 42? Well, you can figure that out over here. 46 times 7. You could try other things, but that's our pair right away. 6 and 7, because they also add to be -13. Sign in the middle goes on the bigger. In fact, they're both negative, huh? It is still true, though. The sign in the middle always goes in the bigger. The other one also is negative. So because 2 negatives multiply to be positive 42 and they add to be -13, that's them. And so we're almost there now. Step 5, each part equals 0 and solve. So take the w minus 6 equals 0 or w minus 7 is 0. Let's wrap this thing up, add 6 to both. Boom, w is 6, or let's add 7 to both. Boom. So width is 6 or 7. The width is 6 or 7, so it doesn't really matter which one. What's the length? Well, you can go back and go to this original equation if you want. Notice it says width is the shorter side. Well, here, I'll finish this up in a minute. Length times width is 42. So now plug into the other formula, which says length times width is 42. Length times width is 40. Go plug in. Step 6. Plug into area is length times width equals 42. Plug into the first equation. Right, so I'm going to plug in the width of 6. So what do I get if I do that? I get length times 6 equals 42. So if you divide by 6, boom, length is 7. Now over here, it's going to be the same thing. Right, length times width is 42. If you plug in the width is 7, you get what's going to happen right there? Plug in that width of 7. You're going to get length times 7 is 42. Divide by 7. Boom. Length is 6. So basically, the width is 7, length 6, or the width is 6, length 7. They're 6 and 7. You see what happened there? They're 6 and 7. So how do you know which is which? Well, if you go back up here, it says width is the shorter. So that's the 6. Length is the longer. That's it. They're just telling us they want the length to be the longer and the width to be the shorter. All right, that was a hard one. What did we do? Let's recap real quick. Well, I wrote the formulas for area and perimeter. Area is length times width, perimeter is 2 length plus 2 width. Wrote those out, took the perimeter one and solved for one of the letters. Got the L alone in the perimeter, plug it into the other equation. That's what we do. We have two equations, two letters. Solve for one letter in one equation, plug it into the other. Plugged in the negative W plus 13 right here for L. Then I distributed through those parentheses, what we always do with parentheses, and I got this equation. Whenever we get W squared, we got to get a 0 on one side, subtract the 42. Got a 0, but then if the front is negative, we can't have the front be negative. I multiplied through by -1, all the terms, made the front positive, factored with the two parentheses right here, and then set each one equal to 0 separately because the two things are multiplying to equal 0. Either the first or the second, either one can be 0 to make that true. Got width 6 or width 7, plugged both those into the area formula and found out length was the other one. So 6 and 7, and there we go.